What's the absolute worst part of budgeting? If you're new to budgeting, or even if you've been doing it for a while, what is it that seems like the most work and the least fun? If you said tracking every expense, I bet you aren't alone. But today I want to talk about why it is so very important. Stay with me. Tracking every single purchase or expense is tedious. I mean, some of us are old enough to remember checking registers and how long we either kept those or didn't keep them or kept them sporadically. It's like tracking every single calorie on a diet. No one wants to interrupt the flow of life to write things down. It doesn't seem like other people have to. That's my little complaining side of my brain going, I don't want to do it. Other people don't have to do it. And yet, over and over and over again, we hear from people who've been successful at budgeting, at paying off debt, at saving up for big financial goals or retirement, or even at people who are successful at dieting. Over and over again, we hear this is the crucial step, writing it down. And I hit a point every now and then where I'm reminded of that. And I've hit it recently. Hi, I'm Ruth. This is Books and Budget. I hope that you are returning to my channel, or even if you're new, I'm glad that you're here. And I have been inconsistent lately. It's a time of year where that happens to me, where the stress of the end of a school year or the beginning of a summer where all of the schedules change, it's just different. It throws me off my game. And last year, it threw me off my budgeting game for, I want to say 2 months. I think April and May into June, I didn't budget. And then I had to go back and I went back and I caught up. Not the best way to do it, and it convinced me that being consistent with this stuff is really important. So let me move a piece of paper here, and I'm going to say that I'm sorry I haven't been with you, but rather than make a whole bunch of makeup videos or completely ignore it, I'm going to do one fast, dirty, slam it all together, close out of the second part of May, and you'll notice I mentioned close out when I barely got it budgeted. I'm going to close out the second part of May. I'm going to budget for June. We're going to do all that, and we're going to talk about this expense tracking, because there are things in here that are problematic. Let me see if I can find. I'm not highlighting according to category. I'm highlighting according to, well, maybe some of them will be category. This is the end of May. I want to know, you notice that. Oops, let's get that a little more color in that. Eating out, eating out, eating out, eating out. Noticing something? I try to eat out only once a week on Saturday. This was not a 4-week period here. This was about 15 days. So something was getting a little out of hand. Now, obviously, this isn't eating out. $6.28 I went by for a snack or a reward, which neither my pocketbook nor my waistline need. So, but that ends up being something. Then we end up with, there are also things like things that I did not expect, things that came up like car maintenance. That's not an expense I usually have. What am I going to do with that? And there was another one I thought. Yeah, down here at the bottom. A medical expense, and I'll talk about what that was. So there are some ways that I am breaking my habits in here that can, that kind of lifestyle creep kind of thing, or budget creep was happening. And there were some things that were unexpected. Both of those can throw you off, and if you're not tracking, if you're not keeping up with it, you underestimate what it can do to your budget. So let's jump in. Let me see right here what I've got. Okay, this was May. And like I said, I'm going to try and do this quickly. I have done it in draft, and I'm just going to proceed down. Oh, yes, look. I have already misspoken. I said I budgeted for the second half of May, and I did not. So I wanted to show how I do that really quickly, and then we can talk about how it went differently. Okay, I usually budget my school paycheck, and I am trying to listen for this. That creak that you just heard is a sound that my old table makes when I put my hand down on it. And I am also filming with a new microphone, which is picking up every single creak. So I'm trying not to make that noise very much because I found it to be very distracting in the last one. So just thought I would explain that. Okay, gifts. There is a family birthday, so I am budgeting for gifts this time. Union dues, budget $35. Transfer to savings for insurance, $150. Transfer to my son for the subscriptions we share. YouTube TV, Netflix, $20. My life insurance, $60. The end of the month transfer to savings for the rest of the insurance, $120. And my hair appointment. My electric this time I budgeted $200. I'm kind of shifting the bulk of my budget to the electric, and it's probably not going to be that much this time because we didn't run our air conditioning, but that's a pretty standard budgeting for me. I kind of like to keep these three balanced at $300. That's the average for the year, so I keep it in there, and that way I can then take any overage and put it in my utility sinking fund. So lawn care, he usually comes every 2 weeks, so $30, and that comes to $1,070, which leaves us $630 to pass on to the next category. I could zoom this in, but the last time I did that, I did stuff off camera, and not being able to check it without making a lot of noise, I am just going to keep it this way. Hopefully you can see it. Remember to make it full screen. That's what I do. Okay, groceries. Always budget $200, $75 for eating out, $30 for fuel generally, and a lot of times I don't spend it, $20 for entertainment. I said I was budgeting $50 for gifts this time, $25 for miscellaneous, and I've already written this down here because, like I said, I've already closed out this budget. So I didn't mean to spoiler alert, but this comes to $400 that I am budgeting, which leaves me $230 to carry up here. $230 carried up here. Always have to have $50 for the checking buffer. Always have to have $15 for tags and taxes, which are due in June. $25 for subscriptions. And then we get to play around with it. So I believe this time my priorities are my emergency fund and my home maintenance fund. So I put $50 in the emergency fund, the home maintenance fund. Even though it is priority, I kind of keep it in with this whole group of 6 sinking funds, and they get the same thing. And then if I have any extra, I usually throw it into home maintenance. Or if in the first half of the month, I give home maintenance some extra. So this all comes to $230, and that is all that we have to budget with. Okay, so this is the plan. I have been doing this long enough to get back to why we expense track. I have been doing this long enough. I know what these bills are going to be. I've got a really good handle on what these are going to be, and knowing that this was still springtime, I know they were going to be less, but I'm not wanting things to be tight in the summer when I've heard other teachers talking about how they're paid. Some of them are paid only for the months that they work, and they have to save their salary themselves in order to pay the months that they don't work in the summer. Our district does keep, they spread our paycheck out over a 12-month period. Our contract is for 190 days, but they spread it out over 2 paychecks a month for all 12 months. However, they closed their books for the financial year on June 30th. So on June 30th, we received our end of June check plus 3 more. So we get a big lump sum at the end of June. In past years, I have been really self-disciplined, and I've taken the 3 additional checks and I put them in my savings account. And then on the regular paydays, I transfer that amount into my checking account. On probably more often, I leave it all in my checking account where it's not even earning the piddly interest that I get in savings. Yes, I am rethinking all of this as I'm saying it. Believe me, knowing that high yield savings accounts are out there, this is hurting me to say, but yes, most years I leave it all in my checking account, and I have been bad about tracking, including last year when I was budgeting. But I tend to stick with my normal routine, my normal expenses, so I don't get into as much hot water as I would normally. As I could, and as I have in past years, which is why I started my budget journey 2 years ago, because I knew that going into July and August was going to be tough for me because I didn't have the savings that I had been used to having. So I usually stick with my normal expenses here. It's the little exceptions that seem like they are only one. Oh, it's only one. It's only one. But when you find yourself saying it's only one 3 or 4 times in a month, it's not only one anymore. That's why I'm saying this tracking is so important. Okay, I'm going to move on because I said I was going to go quickly. All right, so how we actually ended May. Let's look at that. I actually rolled over $20 extra because I didn't put it in here, but I will end up putting it in here because I had a new debit card. And you know, when you get a new debit card, sometimes you will forget somebody that is automatically pulling a payment from that. My AC contract was one. It was budgeted for $20 the first half of the month, and in my closeout of the first half of the month, I said I rolled that $20 over, so this is where I'm accounting for it. My actual check was $1,651.27, and I ended up only pulling $40 from my gift sinking fund and only putting $40 into this. So my total was $1,761.27, and that's what we are working with. Union dues, again, these should be, I will budget to the penny in the actual column, to the dollar in the budget column, and I round up on these so that I will end up, hopefully, with just a little bit more than anticipated. It's just little ways that I trick myself to have a little something. $79.92 for YouTube TV, Netflix $16.96, my life insurance $55.79. The transfer to the bank was $120. Hair appointment $114 as usual, and this is where the AC contract. I'm going to put this in here. I didn't budget for it initially, but I had budgeted for it during the last half. It's $16.37, and I paid this. What day was it? I paid it 5/31, so I got it in just barely in May. My electric, oh my gosh, this month was so great. My electric was $63. And my natural gas was only $17. I mean, look at that. That's $80 for both of those. Oh my gosh. I missed this time. Even my water bill came in lower than usual, which is not uncommon. It's one kind of normal amount, but apparently I'm just right on the edge of using that much water. And so about every third or fourth time I come up a little bit, I use 1 cubic foot less. And so, whatever. I like those months. And lawn care ended up not spending any. He didn't come. We had so much rain, he couldn't come. So he came early in June. Let's see. So this comes to $863. I'm not going to get out a calculator and do that to you. $863.16, which leaves me a much higher $898.11. And yet there are things we're going to have to do with that. So remember that the parts that the amounts, at least part of the amount that I was able to save in utilities will go into a sinking fund, because it's not always going to be that low. I can only wish. $898.11 pulled down. We didn't do the best. We didn't do the worst with our groceries and our eating out. Eating out was about $25 over budget. No, I'm sorry. Groceries was about $25 over budget. Eating out was about $15 over budget. So I did spend the full $30 on Memorial Day. I did travel to a nearby, well, it's about an hour and a half away, to the National Cemetery where my father is buried. I went and visited with my brother and stepmother, and then we had lunch together. So that required a little more fuel. My stepmother reminds me, and I feel like it's almost a dying generation thing, but Memorial Day, while it is to remember past service members who have passed away, it also coincides a lot I think especially in the South, which was with a time that was usually either a decoration day or a remembrance day, where you would go to the cemetery, you clean up around your loved one's area, you would visit with them at least once a year. So my stepmother is one who always remembers that. She always goes and visits family graves during the Memorial Day weekend. And there's something I feel like we're losing by losing that. Now, I am a family historian. I'm a genealogist, so I can spend some time in an old graveyard, respectfully, but also really enjoying the idea of remembering people and not letting their stories go. Okay, that's another big tangent, and I was trying to stay focused, but consider visiting your loved ones that have passed, because I think it's a special experience that we need to continue. All right. Gifts, I told you I only spent $40. I actually just took that in cash and put it into our entertainment fund, and we are spending it actually now. Okay. Miscellaneous, I bought a hostess gift, just like a little turtle brownie kind of thing to take when I had dinner with a friend that I no longer work with. My son and I had dinner with his family. We got to catch up, and that was really nice. Okay, now here's one of the things that I was talking about. I think you saw in my other budget, the end of April and early May, I bought new tires. And I had them installed. And I had them installed on a Friday. I drove them home. I didn't drive anywhere all weekend long. On Monday, I drove to work. No issues. Monday afternoon, I came out, got in my car, and I had 2 indicator lights on. One for my brakes and one for my ABS system. And I thought, okay, they've messed something up. I made an appointment to go and talk to them, and then I forgot it. Yes, I did. So I made another appointment to go in on a Saturday, and thinking this is a sensor that they've thrown out of place. This is something that they messed up when they took the wheels off and installed my new tires. Well, they didn't see it that way. They saw it as, this is us diagnosing a problem, and there's a diagnosis fee and all that. So they were saying they were going to charge me $134 just for the diagnosis. I reluctantly agreed. I said, if it is something that you did, then there won't be that. And they said, yes. I reluctantly agreed. They came back and they said, there is a problem. It wasn't us. How do you know? There is a problem. It wasn't us, but we can't get the part. And we're trying to find out if we have to order it as a factory. This is the problem with driving a vehicle that is 20 years old. Notice I don't have a car payment on here. It's 20 years old. They said if we have to order it from the factory because there may not be any third parties making it anymore, if we have to order it from the factory, it'll be nearly $1,000. It was $963 or something. I was like, so they said we'll charge you half of the diagnostic fee. We will keep looking to see if we can find it. But the good news is that your brakes work just fine. This is an actuator on the anti-lock braking system, and for right now, it's not causing any problems. If it starts seizing up when you try to use your brakes, then it will have to be replaced. But for now, it's not causing any problems. I don't know about you, but somehow, somewhere in this, it sounds a little bit like they're saying, don't worry about it. I don't know. I don't know. I'm going to keep my eye on that. But yes, that light comes on. But it comes on inconsistently. It comes on only when the vehicle is hot, has been sitting in the sun. So in the afternoon. I don't know. If any of you are mechanics and you have any idea what they're talking about, let me know. I'm going to move on. This ends up coming to $489.45. So where I usually count on any overage in groceries or eating out to, be offset by I spend a little less on fuel, I don't spend anything on miscellaneous, that kind of thing. This time instead, I had an extra fee. And this one, I couldn't even count on this because I said I was going to put in $50. But I didn't. So I don't have $10 left over. I put in $40, if you remember, up here. So I took out exactly what I put in. There's no overage there. So this comes out to, it still leaves me with more than I anticipated down here. But remember, there's still this utilities sinking fund. So let's take care of that right now. Let me see. I actually am going to get out my little calculator for one thing. Okay. The utilities that I count on being $300 every time. This time we're $63.18 plus $17 plus $38.69. That equals $118.87. Now, if you subtract that from 300, you would get 181. Well, I'm going to round that a little bit, and it is nice having a little extra. So I decided to put 175 in this utility sinking fund. Now this is starting to feel like something that's going to make me a lot more comfortable come July and August when the air conditioning bills are really high. Okay? So that has to come out of the 408. Just keep that in mind. I've done this math up here. I'm not going to do it over again. I always have to have $50 for the for the checking buffer. I have to have the 15 right here for the tags and taxes. I have to have the 25 for the subscriptions. Those are my must-haves. So this is $90 plus $175. That's $265, I believe. So this is not as much as you think it is. And therefore, I ended up... Oh, and there was one other thing. I did show you that there was a medical expense. I'm going to put it in debt simply because it's an old bill. I think I may have mentioned that I now have a new health savings account. I changed my insurance to have a higher deductible, which qualified me for a health savings account, and I pay medical expenses, which I don't have much of yet, out of there. So, but this was lab work that was done at a December wellness check. And I called them about it in February or March, and because I had gotten one notice and then I couldn't find that. So I called them and they said, we show that it's been resubmitted for insurance. And that's when they found an old one for $9. So I ended up paying that one. But they said, you don't have one. It may be sent to you in the future. So of course it was. I wasn't counting on it. It came. I need to pay $71.48. Now, I have a medical sinking fund, and it's up to about $250. I'm trying to put a little bit in, or I could take this out, and that bouncing it back and forth, what's the difference? What does it matter? I just kind of felt like just taking care of this was the best thing I could do, rather than playing the switch back and forth with the savings game. So with this and this, that ended up leaving me really only $40 to put into my emergency fund and $25 to put into home maintenance. And the rest of these, car maintenance, it got its bit. This is the same thing. I have a car maintenance fund. Should I have taken this out? I could, and then put 15 more in. That seemed, or 20 more in because I had more money. That seems kind of crazy. So I was cash flowing these two, which end up adding up to nearly $150. It'd been lovely to put that in savings, but I was able to cash flow these. There have been months where that's not true. And that is another reason that tracking is crucial. You have to know what you need, and you have to know in the moment. So I ended up not putting anything this month into these. I've been lucky that I've been able to put something into them every month. So adding these up, 50, 100, looks like 155. Ooh, I did not add them up. So I just did that in my head, and that's not going to work. I did not add them up on my draft. What was I thinking? So let me do that now. Let's see. 50, 40, 15, 25, and 25 equals 155. Let's subtract that from 408.66, and we get 253.66. Now this is a chance to see if I did this correctly. So move 253.66 to here. Spent this $71.48. Made that digital payment on, it's probably June 2nd. And I get $182.18, which matches what I was thinking. $182.18. If you subtract 175, you get $7.18. And this was about what I had planned for my little, as I call it, my little party with my pennies, which, by the way, I need to do that very soon, which arrives at a zero balance, and that is my zero-based budget for May. You know that this isn't the only thing I do at the end of a month, so let us look directly at that next. Oh, yeah, and I decided this time I wanted to show you quickly how I do my, how I keep track of my sinking funds. This is all in one big account. This is my balances at the beginning. This was the total balance for the savings account. This is how it's broken down. This time my son paid me, was this the last of? This may have been the last of the money that he owed me that I had loaned him. and I put that $40 that I had said, like, I'm getting this mostly from right here. I said I put $40 in. So adding $180 to this balance makes it $4,948.70. Home, I added $25. I'll just go down and do these real quick. Car insurance, I added the $270. That's what I have, the deposit every second half of the month, and then $173 came out in the second half of the month. In the first half of the month, there's $85 payment that comes out, and there is one annual payment that is kind of incorporated in all this, so it gets an extra $10. Cars, this time the only thing that I contributed to cars was the $15 towards the tags and taxes. Pet, didn't get any. Entertainment. Now, this entertainment is the subscriptions that we pay annually. So I add that, and you can tell that's coming soon. Didn't add anything to medical. Gift actually took out $40. The utility sinking fund added $175. Vacation, didn't get any. And this fund money that I have that's just sitting there, didn't get any either. So home is now up to $230. And I mean, these are now finally being like real numbers. But you guys know how far $230 goes in a home repair. Okay, this is $367. This is carrying over the $135. $260. $255 for medical. I keep that just in case I need something, just a little extra. Otherwise, I'm putting $250 a month into the health savings account and trying to get that built up since it is my first year with it. And our deductible, our family deductible is like $3,000. So this is $425 now. Like I said, that utility sinking fund is going to be so nice to have in July and August. So excited. And 22. And this comes to a total now of $7,089.21. $4,948 is something that makes me really, really happy, because $5,000 is my goal, was my first goal for an emergency fund, and I struggled so much. It's been 2 years. I've been trying to reach this, but I had an older dog who at least once a year had an $800 to $1,200 vet bill, sometimes twice a year, and it's just been a struggle. Hopefully in June this hits 5,000, and I may start putting a lot more towards home maintenance, since that is what I need to be doing. I need to be having work done on my house. So anyway, that's how I close out the savings accounts. You know about how I do my categories and account for all of them. This comes up to my income for the second half. Once I have this done, I can use this plus the one that I did for the first half of May to complete my where did my money go tracker. Okay? Not going to go over every single line. If you're like me and you're just fascinated by all of this, you are welcome to, you can pause the video and look at all my figures. I hope you can see them well enough because they are in pencil. But my home expenses were less than last month by, I don't know why it's 38. Oh, I do know. It's less than budgeted by 38 because I over budget by about, I don't know, surely $4 or something like that. But I didn't have the lawn care this time. I was budgeting for lawn care, $30 for lawn care. So anyway, This is messy, but it's $119 more in food for the whole month than anticipated. So you see, even though it was only $25 more in groceries and $15 more in eating out, it was also something like that the time before. And it starts to add up to real money, unfortunately. Last month I did so well and kept it only $2 over. This month, not so good. Okay, utilities were much lower than anticipated, and 175 of that went into the sinking fund. Insurance just a little bit under. Car and fuel, this is higher because of the repair cost or the diagnostic cost. I was anticipating, and from the beginning I was anticipating having the tires put on, but I wasn't anticipating. And then I believe I went into, there was extra charge for that because of missing lug nuts. So that overage on having them installed plus the $77, it just ended up more. This is all about normal medical. That's just that one bill. School funding this time was a yearbook. But I need to look at school funding and maybe give myself some. I usually don't plan much of anything other than my union dues, but maybe I need to budget something in there. Gifts, I spent less than I budgeted. Miscellaneous, I often spend less because that's just if there's something that I didn't budget, and I try not to spend those. Debt, there is none. Yay. Savings, I was able to put $120 more into savings this month than I anticipated. And this is my comparison with last month. I keep my home and house cost below 25%. I'm lucky that I can do that. Food costs are the next biggest this is at 18%. Probably be better if it were 15%. Anyway, that is May. Let's put May to bed. Okay. I wanted to bring up, because we were back to go back here. If this tracking is so crucial, before I put this May form away, if this tracking is so crucial, how do we make sure it gets done? Okay? And I'm asking this of myself. I need this. I've gotten lax. I told you, I gave you my excuses. It was hectic at the end of the year, and now I'm changing routines. I had a summer school class that I was teaching. We finished that, but I have another one coming up this week. So my routine is going to be out of whack. What do I do about it? How do I get back on track? And I have 3 things that help me. Number 1, schedule the time. For me, I need a minimum of 2 times a week. Okay? I need to sit down and take out my phone or my computer and write down what is listed on my online banking, because I'm mostly cashless. I believe I've said that before. I don't pay for groceries with cash envelopes or my gas. I do it with my debit card. So tracking is a lot easier that I'm just writing down what it says on the computer. Now, some people might think that's a redundant step. I think it's important for me. Okay, so schedule it. Maybe Wednesday night and Saturday. Wednesday night and Saturday morning. Those are times when things are kind of quiet. I can do it in less than 10 minutes while I'm watching television. I can do it Saturday morning before I get up. Okay, or I can do it 3 times: Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Whatever works for you. If you're the kind of person that does it every day, if that motivates you, do it every day. Okay, but schedule the time in your head. Make sure you have a day. 2, convenience. I'm going to grab something here. This is my notebook. I've shown it to you before. This is my tattered old notebook that I have all my stuff in. I need to have that somewhere where I can use it. And if this is too bulky, do something like a clipboard. I am a huge clipboard person, so I always have 1 or 2 around. Have this at the place where you sit down to watch television in the evening, or have it ready to go right where you are. Get the materials that you need to do the job that you need to do, and have them convenient for you. Okay? And number 3, think about what motivates you. Now, I'm going to talk to you about several different motivators. Some people, it's rewards. Okay? And if so, plan to reward yourself in some way. If you're on a budget, if you're on a debt payoff journey, maybe try to make it something that is a non-money kind of reward. Maybe try to make this something that either doesn't cost something. You can give yourself time. You can say, okay, I'm going to give myself some no excuses and no justification needed time to read or play a video game. Or you could say, if I keep this up every week this month, then you can reward yourself. I'm going to go get that Starbucks coffee or that Sonic drink. Around this area, this time of year, that Sonic drink with all that ice sounds really, really good. Maybe once a week, once a month, reward yourself. Or do it with your budgeting stuff. Give yourself $4 to go into, or $5 to go into your savings challenges. Because then it's still going to contribute to your budget journey, your debt-free journey, or whatever journey you're on, your personal finances. However, it's a game that you play with yourself, and say you can't play that game if you're not motivating yourself to keep this going. For me, I'm not so much a rewards person. What I was motivated by was regularly watching YouTube budgeting videos. I would watch them almost every night before going to bed. I would watch a couple or three favorites. For me, as tracking, I need to kind of put budgeting in front of myself on a regular basis, if not every night, every other night, so that I feel like I'm part of the community, and I feel like, oh, I can do that. Oh, look, they're doing good. I can do that. If they can do it, I can do it. And speaking of the part of the community, if you know anybody, either in person or online, who is on a debt-free journey and they're trying to do this too, have an accountability partner. Seriously, I am motivated by not wanting to disappoint other people. If I say I'm going to be your accountability partner, and we are supposed to meet on Thursdays, even, just a phone call, or meet online real quickly, check in. Have you got this done? I don't want the answer to be no. So Wednesday night, Thursday early morning, I'm getting it done. At the last minute, of course, but okay. And some people are motivated by beauty. I mean, I have really enjoyed getting out my seashells and getting out my highlighters and colored things. You can tell that I put some color into my forms. Maybe that's what motivates you. Find a way to make your tracking a ritual that involves beauty. Make it visually stimulating. Forms, nice pens, highlighters, the quality of the paper, the beauty of your notebook, whatever. There's an old book that I have, and I will put the title and author and the link if there is one anymore. This was from the 80s. When I worked in a bookstore, I discovered an old book called Living a Beautiful Life by a woman who was an interior designer. Her name was Alexandra Stoddard, and she also wrote for Better Homes and Gardens. I think she wrote a column for them for a while. And this book, Living a Beautiful Life, is about taking the things that are in the everyday and making them beautiful, making them rituals. She talked about paying bills with fountain pens and purple ink on beautiful stationery, because sitting down to use those tools made her feel special, even doing something as everyday as writing out a check for a water bill. So I will leave that. This is going to turn into something really long if I don't get moving, because I said we're also budgeting. Yay, budget with me for June. I hope this comes out that you can see it. I used my yellow InkJoy pen, which doesn't always show up really well, but I just felt like the sunshine coming into June is just really getting me excited. See, I was experimenting with little sunshines. Okay, so that being said, let us make this May 31st payday sunshine yellow. And with that, we pay the mortgage, we pay the lawn guy, we pay AT&T internet, pay the gym. We have the regular time for our AC contract. We have Apple storage. And then this goes into the next payday. Let's go. We're going tropical colors today. This cerulean blue kind of. So with this payday, we're going to pay union dues, transfer money to savings for the insurance, transfer money to my son, YouTube, TV. Oh, that's not something we pay, but they are going to come and do my air conditioning checkup. The lawn guy, it's been 2 weeks, so I'll get that. He may or may not show up exactly on these times, but I take the money out of the bank in cash to have ready to pay him. Netflix, I'll take the money out for my hair appointment, which is scheduled for right now. Let's see. And I've already kind of, when making the calendar, kind of projected how I'm going to divide those up. Life insurance, transfer to savings. And then, of course, there is the mega payday. Ooh, I'm going to highlight orange with pink. Whew, that almost hurts me. Okay, so just putting out a monthly calendar. I have not been doing this as consistently during the school year, but I started realizing I have, like I said, I have this summer school that I did. It was actually an ACT prep academy for high school students. It went Tuesday through Friday. I got 27 and a half hours, and this will be my gross pay, I believe. I wrote it down so I can remember to look for it. I don't know when I'm getting that paycheck. That's really bad, right? And then I'm starting a reading camp. I will go in and prep for it some during the first 2 days of the week. We start on a Wednesday. It does not go on Friday. It only goes half days, but it goes 2 days there, 4 days here, and 4 days here. And I will try to keep track of my hours and do the same thing. Write down how much I'm expecting. And I've got a cousin coming in from out of state. He's going to be passing through. We're having dinner with him. I have to renew my tags. I have to do it in the month of June. That's what the Tags and Taxes Sinking Fund is for. Yes, I know. I'm sidetracked again. All right. Let's do this. Let's write this in black. Okay. So, as per usual, $50 carried forward, checking account buffer. $1,600 is what I budget for my school paycheck, and I wasn't expecting gifts or needing to transfer anything else in for this. And the next one I will have to transfer in sinking funds. So let me get my draft here real quickly. Excuse me with the... All right. Don't make that noise. All right. I budget $25 to go to my personal checking account to spend on shopping, and I don't spend it on shopping. I need to. I need all kinds of new clothes. Do I do it? No. I am budgeting $825 for my mortgage because that's what it has been. I did receive notice that they have refigured the escrow account, and it is going to go up, and I think it's going to go up about $20. But I'm going to count on cash flowing that until I know what it is. So, AT&T, $135 is what I always budget. My gym membership is $50. My AC contract is 16 something, so I round up to 20. Apple storage, round up to 5. Lawn care, $30. This all comes to $1,125. Subtracted from $1,650, that leaves $525. This is starting to get a little tighter. Now, I know that this is going to be more, and if I need to draw on it, I can draw on some of the summer school funds, but I'm trying to keep everything contained as I can. So, I budget $200 for groceries, $75 for eating out, $30 for car and fuel, $20 for entertainment. I am going to put something in for school because I might spend something for the reading camp. I'm trying to make it fun. They definitely want it to be more a feeling of a fun camp, even though we have academic goals that we are trying to achieve. So, and miscellaneous, give it the regular $25. That adds up to $375 and leaves me only with $150. And I say that it's getting tight because I am trying to keep, I used to pay my credit card in this pay period, the first half of the month. And I paid $75 towards it, no matter what the minimum balance was. It never got more than 75. So I paid 75 every month. Well, now that it's paid off, I still want that kind of a snowball effect, but I want it in my savings. So I budget $50 for my emergency fund, $25 for my home maintenance fund, because if I could afford to have it in here during then, I want to keep it. But that leaves, this is $150. That leaves only $75 to spend up here, and I always have $50 for my checking buffer, which, you guessed it, means I have $25 left for my emergency fund. So I carry up the $150. I budget 75 of it. That leaves 75. I have no debts. Yay! And carry down my 75. I won't anticipate my party with my pennies because, I know it'll be there. There'll be change. So I know they'll be there, but I don't budget for that. I spent this 75, and that leads to a zero-based budget. That is the quick, down and dirty budget with me for the first half of June. I will have more frequent videos. I will talk to you more as we go along, but you've been with me enough already today. I am sorry I have been kind of missing in action. I plan to be with you a lot more, and I'm planning some videos about reading finally, and we'll get back to that subject of being consistent and what can you do, because I really need that in my reading. So watch for that, okay? If you stay with me this long, thank you so much. And I appreciate, I've had a lot of new people taking a look at my channel. I appreciate that you're here. If you wouldn't mind, please consider subscribing. It doesn't cost anything, and it really encourages me. So I'm going to get out of here. I will talk to you soon. Have a great rest of your week.